residence. But Nikhil, live from Parliament. Nikhil, parliamentarians have come in early today and they're already queuing up to cast their ballot.
Well, clearly, Anand, and as we were told earlier that at about 10 a.m. sharp, the voting will start. So we can see the visuals as well that how the parliamentarians have lined up, have queued up, and also Prime Minister Narendra Modi a while back, he reached at the parliament premises and he is there inside to cast his vote. We are currently reporting from outside the parliament, and as you and Maria have mentioned earlier that the time frame to cast the vote from the parliamentarians is going to be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and by 7 p.m. we are expecting that the country will get its new vice presidential candidate, and we all know that the numbers are already in the favor of the NDA nominee Dhankar. So by 7 p.m. we are expecting that his name will finally be announced. But obviously, apart from it, we are seeing that the TMC party, who has some decent MPs in the both the houses, they are going to abstain from the voting. But there are other parties as well who are from the opposition camp, but they have given their support to the NDA candidate Dhankar. And who are these parties? If we talk about the parties, BSP is already in favor of Dhankar, and in fact Naveen Patnaik's party BJD, they have already announced that they are going to support the NDA candidate. And also there are other parties as well, including Shiv Sena. They have already said that their support inside the parliament is going to in the favor of Dhankar. And unlike the presidential election, Anand, the member of parliament from both the houses, only they are eligible to cast their vote. They have already lined up, they have queued up. So as per the given details, they have started voting at about 10 p.m. So by 5 p.m. we are expecting that it is going to be concluded.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi perhaps leading all the parliamentarians to cast the ballot, because there he is casting his ballot, endorsing his support. He was the one who filed the nomination for Jagdeep Dhankar, so he led that entire group that came in to endorse Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar as a candidate for the NDA, and so clearly we know which way that vote is going of the Prime Minister, but he has led from the front, and all the parliamentarians there greeting him as he walked in first. He was flanked by MOSPMO Dr. Jitendra Singh. We saw Prahlad Joshi ji and also Arjun Ram Meghwal also present as they were escorting and walking along with the Prime Minister. But going in as the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha presides over the entire voting process, Prime Minister going in on his own, sitting there, endorsing, casting his ballot, and also signing in the register that he has clearly given the endorsed the support. So Prime Minister going in, and one by one after the Prime Minister walked out, the MPs from both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha have now queued up on both sides, and they are going in one by one. That is Prime Minister Narendra Modi going in, endorsing his support, and then choosing his candidate, and then casting his ballot. So that's the ballot box which will have the votes registered. 372 is the number, the mark for which from where we have, that's the halfway mark, but we're given to understand that Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar should get at least 520 plus votes. Now that means nearly 70% of the strength of both the houses will be endorsing the candidate of the NDA, that is Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar. So it's a hands-down, overwhelming win for Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar. That's what's being seen. Is there going to be a twist in the story? You have to wait and watch. Arun Dhanta is right outside Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar's residence, and Akash is live from Mrs. Margaret Alva's residence. So what kind of activity are we seeing there? Arun Dhanta, let's start with you. Has Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar stepped out, or what's his program for the day? Or is he going to remain at his residence till the results are called out?
Well, Anand, we are outside the Bengal Bhavan where Jagdeep Dhankar is putting up, and as of now there is no information about his planning of the day. What we are given to understand that he's going to spend his day inside the Bengal Bhavan and to watch the action from inside. And as we have been showing that the voting has already started in the parliament. Remember, only Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha MPs are allowed to vote in this election, and 5 p.m. is the time when the voting will be closed, and then the process of counting will start, and then in the end around 6:30 or 6:45 we will have the results. And in all likelihood, as numbers are very much stacked behind the NDA. It seems that Jagdeep Dhankar will have a cakewalk to the vice president position. And as JP Nadda and Prime Minister Modi have said that Kisan Putra or farmer's son to Jagdeep Dhankar, it appears that Kisan Putra is going to be the next vice president of the country. Numbers are very much behind NDA, as we have discussed that. But the largest strategy, Anand, of the BJP here is to woo the Jat voters, because we have elections in Rajasthan and Haryana. Haryana is a state where you have more than 25% population of Jat community, which is very, very important. Remember, when BJP given the opportunity to somebody, the likes of Manohar Lal Khattar, who does not come from a Jat community, that was a time when there was some dissent in the Jat community, and then in the last election they tied up with JJP there, and then we had seen the farm protests. So somehow BJP feels that this decision of theirs will help them in Rajasthan and in Haryana, because in Haryana you have massive anti-incumbency against you, and in Rajasthan more than 12% population of Jat community. So it's a very, very strategic move of Bharatiya Janata Party. They are expecting a good dividend out of it.
Yes, interesting to see the number of the parties that are supporting Jagdeep Dhankar, those who are actually abstaining from this entire voting process. That's the Trinamool Congress. There's a story there. And also the parties which backed Draupadi Murmu, but now have swung over into the UPA camp, or the opposition candidate, that is Margaret Alva. Namely, the Shiv Sena Uddhav faction, which has now decided to back Margaret Alva. Even Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, which backed Draupadi Murmu, now is backing Margaret Alva. Let's go across to Akash. Akash, what's happening at Mrs. Alva's residence? Are there anybody calling on her early this morning? We'll try and go across to her in just a bit. Let's try and understand the Trinamool's position as far as abstention. We'll also try and go across to our guests this morning who are joining us. Varun Singh, political analyst, Tushar Gupta and Hemant Atri should be joining us. We'll understand the significance. But look at the clock. Exactly at 10 a.m., Prime Minister Narendra Modi present in Parliament, and he has gone ahead and cast his ballot, the first to cast his ballot in this race for the Vice President, the next Vice President who will take over, or perhaps getting the baton being passed on from Venkaiah Naidu, whose tenure comes to an end. Nikhil is also with us. Nikhil, have you seen the opposition MPs also come into Parliament to cast their ballot? Or is it largely NDA parliamentarians?
Well, Anand, I am actually not able to see the visuals inside of the parliament, but what we are hearing is that not just NDA MPs, but MPs from opposition parties as well, they have lined up and they are going to cast their vote. And we are currently reporting from outside the parliament, and many of the MPs, we can see some of the VVIP movement is currently taking place. So all the major MPs, including from both the sides, they are currently going inside to cast their vote, including we have seen that as you have mentioned earlier as well, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he reached sharply before 10 a.m. and he casted his vote, and all the MPs, other MPs as well, they have lined up. But the important point here is you were referring to TMC. The interesting point here comes because I was covering the opposition party meeting which was organized, which was called by NCP leader Sharad Pawar on 18th of July at his residence. There, the two parties, leading opposition parties, TMC and Aam Aadmi Party, they abstained from being present inside that meeting. And after we got to know that on 21st of July, the TMC chief, Mamata Banerjee, she's going to organize a meeting with all the MPs, and they are going to take a call on Dhankar and over the opposition candidate as well. And finally, they had come out saying that we are going to abstain in the meeting, we are going to abstain in the voting part because we were not properly consulted over the name of the Margaret Alva. This is the reason we are not going to either cast our vote in favor of Dhankar or even in favor of Margaret Alva as well. So you can see the movement is currently... okay, so the Prime Minister is finally, we are expecting that this is the movement of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He is currently coming out after casting his vote. This is his cavalcade. He reached sharply at about 10 a.m. and finally these are the exclusive visuals